Are you wondering why every time you turn on the news, the economy is saying that it's going great? Then when you open up your bank app and you look at your bills, everything looks to be more expensive and you seem to have a lot less money. In today's video, I'm going to provide to you where the news is actually getting their information from, why their data is not actually truthful, as well as provide my own theory at the end of the video as to why the American finances are not matching up to what the news is telling you. This is Rice Finance here, and if you guys enjoy these types of videos and or want to support me for the near future, please hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below. I will be sure to be answering all comments that I see in the comment section below. Now let's get right on into this. In order to understand where the news stations are getting their information from, we first have to take a look at the government. In short, what the government does is collects a bunch of data, puts it all together, and kind of spits out some sort of equation to provide the everyday citizen and the everyday news station with information onto where the economy is going. While there are a ton of reports, I believe that there are two main reports that the Fed looks at in determining where the economy is going. That is going to be one, the CPI data, and two, the number of unemployed persons per job opening seasonally adjusted, or otherwise known as the jobs report. The news station then hires their own professional to help understand and break down these reports so that the everyday average American citizen could understand these data and charts. Unfortunately, this is where the disconnect begins. Because as the reports provided to the news station appear to be doing really great in the economy, the everyday average American citizen knows that this is incorrect. So we cannot entirely blame the news station for reporting the data that was provided to them. Instead, we have to look at the government as to where their numbers are actually coming from. If we look up what exactly makes up the CPI data, it looks like there is a survey here in which any everyday American citizen can download and fill out themselves. Typically what happens is you fill out on a week by week basis your expenses for that week, and that is what determines the data that is provided in the CPI form. Unfortunately, I am not so happy in which the data is actually collected. The reason for this is because it is all manual data entry. Someone who is filling out this form could accidentally put a 1 in front of the 7. This will then make the McDonald's purchase a $17.25 purchase, which then appears to be increasing the amount of CPI. Now, while there are tons and tons of these reports filled out, if enough people end up putting the wrong number, then you could drastically change the inflation rate on the everyday average consumer goods. Due to the nature of the fact that these reports drastically affect the way in which the stock market moves, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some malicious people doing some fraudulent activities, manipulating the data on purpose to provide either massive inflation or massive deflation in order to cause the stock market and provide an edge in which the markets could be trading in the future. Now let's take a look at the JOLTS report. The JOLTS report compares the number of employed persons per job opening, and it is seasonally adjusted. The JOLTS report data is made up of two things: hires, which is the rate of hires, and separations. And separations can include quits, layoffs, discharges, and other separations. While the JOLTS report appears to have solid numbers and a solid backframe, there appears to be one item in which the JOLTS report doesn't take into account that would provide for massive differences and massive change if these numbers were taken into account. That opening would end up being the insane record-breaking migrant encounters, in which it appears to be the flooding of the immigrants into the United States. Unfortunately, due to the fact that there happens to be a lot of the migrants traveling over through the border not being legal or not getting papers, we are not able to track if they are able to get jobs, whether or not it is legal or illegal. Therefore, the jobs report data is not properly a proper representation to the millions and millions of migrants that happen to be traveling over the border. Overall, as you can see, while it is not entirely the fault of the news stations that they are provided faulty data, I still have to blame the news stations for not being able to pick up what I was able to pick up in the fact that these data seem to be very flawed. Now, before I provide my theory as to why a guy with under 100 subscribers is able to figure out the issues with the entire US government, I want you guys to write in the comments section below rigged for those of you who are able to stay this far into the video. So let's get into my theory. Why? Why is it that I alone am able to figure this out? And probably more than likely you guys who are watching this video are able to figure this out as well. I don't think the answer is the government is lazy. I think the answer is they're doing this on purpose. With the 2024 election looking like it's coming pretty quickly, I think that if the whole entire economy started looking as bad as it actually is on paper, the news stations would have to admit it. And I think if the news stations were to admit that the economy is doing bad, it wouldn't look great for a re-election of President Biden for 2024. While I would like to keep my channel out of the limelight of politics, there is an issue when it comes to not providing the correct information and manipulating data at which the economy appears to be looking like it's doing a lot better than it actually is, but in everyday American pockets, you and me both know that we're not doing as great. It seems very misleading to be showing the American public the data in which we are doing well when in reality we're not. While I do believe that there are issues on both sides, I'm not a big fan of tricking American people into believing something that really isn't there.